Imagine owning a cozy Irish pub, and bam, next thing you know, it's the setting of a twisted murder conspiracy. Not exactly what you picture when you pull up for a pint, right? You're thinking laughter, Guinness, a bit of fiddle music in the background. Instead, blood on the ledger and whispers that the landlady's smile was hiding something way darker. First up, Catherine Nevin. She's 56 years old in March 1996. On the surface, she's got it all together. Sharp dresser, polished nails, sunglasses that made her look more like a celebrity than a pub landlady. People around British Bay knew her as the woman who ran the famous Jack White's Inn with her husband. She had charm, she had style, but she also had secrets. Then there's Tom Nevin, Catherine's husband, co owner of the pub, and by all accounts a decent bloke. Hard working, steady, didn't make waves. The kind of man who kept his head down and just got on with the graft. Locals respected him, even if Catherine sometimes seemed to overshadow him. And finally, the stage. Jack White's Inn. This wasn't some dingy dive. It was a landmark on the Wicklow coast, a pit stop for tourists, a local hub, a pub with history, warm fires packed on weekends, laughter spilling out the doors, the kind of place you'd go for a pint and a story. But this story, it turned the inn into something else entirely, a crime scene that would haunt Ireland for decades. So it's St. Patrick's Bank Holiday weekend in 1996. Ireland's buzzing. Think shamrocks, parades, everyone 3 pints deep by noon. Wicklow's coast is packed with tourists and Jack White's Inn is thriving. It's the kind of weekend where tills are heavy, staff are wrecked, and the Nevins are counting the cash into the small hours. Now, Tom Nevin, he's the last man standing that night. He's in the office doing the books, jotting down figures, glasses slipping halfway down his nose. Classic publican move, count the takings, lock up, then bed. Except this night doesn't end with bed. Because sometime around the early hours, Tom is shot. One single blast from a 12-gauge shotgun to the chest. Not a warning shot, not a scuffle, just done. Quick, precise. He collapses in his chair. When guards arrive, they find him exactly where you'd expect a publican to be, at his desk. Pen still in hand, glasses perched on his face, like he froze mid-sentence, mid-number, and death just signed the ledger for him. And Catherine? Well, she's got a story. She tells the guards that a masked intruder broke into the house. Says she woke up with her face shoved into a pillow, tied up, terrified, while Tom was attacked. Jewelry scattered everywhere, house ransacked, classic robbery vibes. And when she wriggled free, she didn't use the panic button right by her bed. Nope. She marched all the way downstairs to the front door to sound the alarm. On paper, sounds like a wild break-in, but in reality, the details start wobbling fast. So the guards start poking around, and what they see, yeah, it doesn't line up with Catherine's "I was tied up by masked raiders" fairy tale. First problem, the jewelry. It's everywhere, scattered on the bed, on the floor, tossed around like confetti. But here's the thing, none of it is actually missing. Not one ring, not one necklace. A burglar who takes nothing. Come on. Second red flag, there's no forced entry. Every door, every window locked. No smashed glass, no busted frames, nothing. It's like the so-called raiders had magic keys, or maybe there weren't any raiders at all. And then the kicker, the alarm system. Jack White's Inn had a panic button right there in Catherine's bedroom. She could have hit it instantly, but no. She unties herself, strolls all the way downstairs, and triggers the alarm at the front door. Picture that if you've just been attacked, are you really going for a midnight jog through the house before calling for help? Yeah, didn't think so. At this point, the guards are looking at Catherine like, "Nice try, but your script's got plot holes." The guards dig deeper, and what they find makes Catherine's home invasion story look like a bedtime fairy tale. Tom's wound tells its own story. One single shotgun blast fired at close range, tucked under the arm. That's not some panicked burglar spraying shots in the dark. That's someone who walked right up and pulled the trigger with intent. Then comes the real bombshell. Catherine Nevin hadn't just dreamed up the idea of killing Tom that night. Oh no, she'd been planting those seeds for years. Quietly, carefully, she had approached not one, not two, but three different men, asking them to kill her husband. Three separate times she tested the waters, and every single one of them said no. One of the men later testified in court about her chilling pitch. Another said she casually floated the idea of staging a robbery gone wrong. And one more, he remembered her dangling money like bait pub takings, insurance payouts, the works. Catherine was basically running a murder audition. So now the guards aren't looking at a grieving widow. They're looking at a woman who had motive, a track record of trying to set this up, and finally, a dead husband sitting in his pub office. The image of Catherine as the stylish, grieving landlady cracks wide open. So here's what those men she approached actually said. One claimed Catherine painted this whole melodramatic scene. She wanted Tom to die in my arms during a staged robbery. Think about that for a second. Not just dead, but dead in her arms, so she could play the perfect widow for the guards and the neighbors. Cold. Another remembered her talking about a botched bank job. The idea, stage a fake holdup, Tom gets caught in the crossfire, and she walks away with sympathy and, let's be real, a nice chunk of insurance money. And then there was the cash offer. Catherine wasn't shy about dangling the pub takings, even promising thousands to sweeten the deal. She basically made it a business proposal: kill my husband, get paid. Like she was recruiting staff for the bar, only this job came with a shotgun. So yeah, Catherine wasn't spitballing ideas in grief. She was rehearsing the murder playbook years before Tom ever hit the floor of that office. Plots thicker than a pint of Murphy's at this point. Fast forward to the year 2000. Catherine Nevin is on trial in Dublin's Central Criminal Court. By now, the media can't get enough of her. They brand her the Black Widow, and it sticks like glue. The tabloids splash her face across every front page, dissecting her every move. But it goes so over the top that the judge actually has to ban journalists from writing about her appearance. No more gossip about her nails, her hair, or those signature tinted sunglasses. And Catherine plays the part perfectly: silent, glamorous, icy. She strolls into court looking like she's walking a catwalk, not fighting for her life. Not a tear, not a crack in the mask. If she was aiming for mystery femme fatale, she nailed it. The prosecution doesn't need theatrics. They've got the three men she allegedly approached, all testifying about her murder pitches. They've got the suspicious crime scene with no forced entry. They've got the weird alarm situation. Piece by piece, they paint her not as a victim, but as the director of the whole bloody play. The jury takes 5 days, which at the time was the longest deliberation in Irish legal history. 5 days of arguing, rehashing, and weighing the facts. And finally, guilty, Catherine Nevin is convicted of murder and solicitation, life sentence. The landlady who once poured pints at Jack White's Inn is now pouring her life away behind bars. So here's where it gets even more twisted. Catherine Nevin never once admitted guilt. Not in the dock, not behind bars, not in appeals. She denied everything, every step of the way. To her, she was the wrongly accused pub landlady, not Ireland's Black Widow. She lodged appeals, all rejected. She pushed for retrials, no dice. The courts weren't buying it. Meanwhile, she became this almost mythical figure in Irish crime lore. Some people thought she was pure evil, others whispered maybe she was stitched up. Either way, Catherine loved the mystery, never breaking character, never saying, yeah, I did it. Then life hit her with its own plot twist. Years later, she's diagnosed with a brain tumor. After serving almost 2 decades, she's granted compassionate release. No more prison walls, but not exactly freedom either. In 2018, Catherine Nevin dies at age 67, still insisting she was innocent. Still never giving up the truth about who actually pulled that trigger in Jack White's Inn. Her story ended the same way it played out in court, polished on the surface, but leaving everyone asking, what's the real truth? Landlady turns femme fatale, that came out of nowhere. 1 minute she's serving you fish and chips, the next she's serving 20 years to life. A pub robbery where nothing gets robbed? please, even the drunkest lad in the corner could tell you that doesn't add up. Catherine asking three different blokes to do the job is wild. It's like she thought murder for hire worked like speed dating. Just keep asking until someone says yes. And staging your husband's murder in your own pub? That's not just criminal, that's bad business. Locals came for pints, not plot twists. At this point, Catherine Nevin isn't just a character in a crime story. She's a headline, a cautionary tale, and Ireland's most infamous landlady all rolled into one. Here's the part that still messes with people's heads. No one ever proved who actually pulled the trigger. Catherine was convicted of planning it, sure, but the mystery gunman, still a ghost. Was it a hitman she finally convinced? Was it someone close to her? Or, and this is the chilling possibility, did Catherine herself do it, then spin the whole masked raider story to cover her tracks? We'll never really know. What we do know is this: Jack White's Inn is still there today. Bright lights, busy car park, food menus in the window. Tourists pull up, order a pint, and have no idea they're standing in the middle of Ireland's most infamous crime scene. And that's the haunting twist. A cozy pub, a smiling landlady, a steady husband, and underneath it all, a conspiracy so dark it turned a local landmark into legend. The quietest places hide the loudest secrets.